Hi, I'm Rashonda Cade. This is Reading with Rashonda. We are reading Behind the Scenes by Elizabeth Keckley. We are on chapter 15. We just are going to be on chapter 15, y'all. I can't emphasize how long this chapter is. We only have 21 pages left in the chapter, and then there's the appendix. 21 pages still takes a while to read. How many pages in are we? Like we've just been doing chapter 15 for what feels like all of an eternity. All right. 33. We're 43 pages in to chapter 15. And what did I say? We have like 21 pages to go. No, I said more than that. Was it 31? No, 21 pages to go. 43 pages in, 21 pages to go. We are in the middle of a letter. Excuse me. We're in the middle of a letter that Mrs. Keckley wrote to the newspaper to try to explain some of the things that Mrs. Lincoln was doing. So we're just going to keep reading this letter, and at some point it ends, and then we get letters from other people. So here we go. The dress that was worn by Mrs. Lincoln on the night of the assassination was presented to Mrs. William Slade. It is a black silk with a little white stripe. Most of the other articles that adorned Mrs. Lincoln on that fatal night became the property of Mrs. Keckley. Oh yeah, she refers to herself in the third person. Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, I wasn't yawning at all before I started doing this. All right, we're going to keep reading. I'll try not to yawn. She has the most of them, it does say the most. She has the most of them carefully stowed away and intends keeping them during her life as mementos of a mournful event. The principal articles among these are the earrings, the bonnet, and the velvet cloak. The writer of this saw the latter on Thursday. It bears most palpable marks of the assassination, being completely bespattered with blood that has dried upon the surface and which can never be removed. Excuse me, I'm sorry. That sounds like a gruesome thing to keep, particularly that you're not in the family. I mean, okay, Mrs. Keckley is basically family, but I don't know that I would want to keep that. All right, we're going to keep reading. I will try not to yawn, but if I do, I'm sorry. A few words as regard the disposition and habits of Mrs. Lincoln. She is no longer the sprightly body she was when her very presence illumined the White House with gaiety. Now she is sad and sedate, seeking seclusion and maintaining communication merely with her most intimate personal friends. The most of her time she devotes to instructive reading within the walls of her boudoir. I can't even just keep apologizing, I'm sorry, but I'll try. Laying her book aside spasmodically, she places her hand upon her forehead as if ruminating upon something momentous. Then her hand wanders amid her heavy tresses while she ponders for but a few seconds. Then by a sudden start, she approaches her writing stand, seizes a pen, and indites a few hasty lines to some trusty friend upon the troubles that weigh so heavily upon her. Speedily it is sent to the post office, but hardly has the mail departed from the city before she regrets her hasty letter and would give much to recall it. But too late, it is gone, and probably the secrets it contains are not confidentially kept by the party to whom it was addressed. And soon it furnishes inexhaustible material for gossip-loving people. So this is an interesting picture she's painting. That wasn't me yawning, that was a figment of your imagination. So she's painting a picture of Mrs. Lincoln as sad and sedate and lonely and just ruminating on her life and her circumstances. And in the middle of one of those moods, she will scratch out a letter to a friend and mail it immediately. And then as soon as she has mailed it, she regrets mailing it because she has said something that will probably produce in her or produce toward her some scrutiny. Like, I kind of feel like I've never yawned this much at one time in my life. I'm clearly not getting enough oxygen. Like, I don't understand myself in this moment, but we're going to keep reading this book. As some citizens have expressed themselves desirous of aiding Mrs. Lincoln, a subscription book was opened at the office of her agent, Mr. Brady, number 609 Broadway, this morning. There is no limitation as to the amount which may be given, though there was a proposition that $1 should be contributed by each person who came forward to inspect the goods. I'm pretending like it didn't happen. Had each person who handled these articles given this sum, a handsome amount would already have been realized. So now she's also saying, you looky-loos are mad that she's selling her stuff. She's already given a good argument that other people have sold their worn items before. But she's like, so many people came to look at it. If we had charged for admission just $1 a person, we would have already made all the money. So it's also a dig, and I like that it's kind of like kind of down low, but like, you all are interested, you all are going to look, but you're not purchasing. So you want to go look, you want her stuff to be on display, and you want to talk about her for doing this. And she's basically saying you can't have your cake and eat it too. I mean, maybe I should stop reading if I'm yawning this much, but the last reading was really short. And I feel like once I stop reading, I'll stop yawning. Like maybe some water will help. All right. The colored people are moving in this matter. They intend to take up collections in their churches for the benefit of Mrs. Lincoln. They are enthusiastic, and a trifle from every African in this city would, in the aggregate, swell into an immense sum which would be doubly acceptable to Mrs. Lincoln. It's interesting to me that she called all colored people African. It would satisfy her that the black people still have the memory of her deceased husband fresh in their minds. The goods still remain exposed to sale, but it is now announced that they will be sold at public auction on the 30th of this month unless they be disposed of before that at private sale. It is stated in the article, okay, and that's the end of the article letter that Mrs. Keckley wrote. And so now she's just back to her narrative commentary. Y'all, my computer just completely shut down at the end. It was crazy. I had a black screen, I had beeping in my headphones. It gave zero notice. So that's why it ends on a note that sounds like a hostile takeover. I'm fine. Everything's fine. Just my computer was like, nope, no more. I'm done. Not today. And it was the first time I used the computer today. I was yawning. My computer blanked out. I think it's time for me to stop being on the computer today. So anyway, I'm Rashonda Cade. This is Reading with Rashonda. We've been reading Behind the Scenes by Elizabeth Keckley. Until next time.